More than 300 potential terror suspects who've returned from Syria are currently at large in Britain. That's being reported by the Times newspaper, citing government sources who say it's putting a strain on security agencies. Despite that, the EU is urging its member states to adopt a UK-style counter-terror strategy, pointing to the success of the PREVENT programme. Former independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, Lord Carlisle, told RT UK Britain is at the forefront of de-radicalisation globally.
We have a PREVENT strategy which teachers rejected last year on the basis of no evidence and at all, and it's going to continue anyway, which is proving extremely effective in helping to de-radicalise students and others. And indeed it is the envy of much of the rest of the world insofar as countries have a genuine intention of de-radicalising young people. It is absolutely clear beyond doubt that well-run PREVENT programmes work. It's absolute nonsense. There's no evidence to support the often repeated assertion that communities are alienated by PREVENT. That is actually, in my view, a lie that third sector organisations have been trailing out because for some reason they're not prepared to look at the evidence. The evidence in favour of PREVENT is overwhelming and has won support in other countries.
Despite the evidence, human rights organisations have raised concerns about PREVENT. Lord Carlisle went on to criticise teachers for letting potential radicalised students slip through the net. But should the responsibility lie with those in the education sector? Earlier, Bill Dodd was joined by senior lecturer at Queen Mary University, Dr. Lee Jones, and former police officer Peter Kirkham for a debate on that very issue.
I think when you talk about PREVENT turning students into suspects and staff into spies, that's a bit of an extreme sort of way of portraying what is intended to be a way of intervening to try and prevent people becoming radicalised, prevent people getting involved with terrorist acts, prevent people getting involved with supporting terrorist organisations, prevent people leaving to Syria. And we've seen that they've succeeded in numerous cases and it's intervened and it's prevented people from getting into far, far worse trouble, let alone the harm they might cause to others.
Lee, as a lecturer, are you reluctant to report anyone who perhaps could be under the suspicion of being radicalised?
It's not about my reluctance, it's about the impact that this has on education. It's very corrosive. Education is a relationship of trust between a teacher and a student. Students need space where they can explore ideas in a way that is safe and they're not afraid that teachers are going to report them to the police for something that they might say. And for a pastoral care, they need to be able to trust me and come to me with problems. They don't need to look at me as if I'm a spy or an informant for the state. The referrals are made on the grounds of fear, stupidity and prejudice, which is why we have children being referred to PREVENT for wearing Islamic slogans on their T-shirts, for drawing a cucumber, which somebody thought was a cook bomber, or even checking books out of the school library.
Yeah, well, the way it's implemented, clearly there are some major problems with that.
Indeed, those sorts of referrals shouldn't have been made, and you need to ask what are the educators, these very clever people that you know seem to know everything and don't need to involve police officers involved in this. What are they doing referring things like that? Are they not capable of applying a bit of common sense, really?
That word common sense, that phrase is very important, isn't it? Because if you were conducting some sort of lecture or whatever, surely you'll be able to determine whether that student is merely exploring the ideas of ISIL or any extremist subject matter, rather than actually propagating it. Isn't it fairly obvious to see the difference?
In fact, it's not fairly obvious at all. It takes a great deal of skill to work out what is going on, which is why the panel that reviews these cases tends to dismiss the vast majority of them. People are not experts in noticing these things, and they cannot be expected to be. In most cases, people are trying to use what is called common sense, but actually just boils down to fear and prejudice.
If an issue is raised, all the police can do is ask questions. You can then ask about how they then proceed with the matter once they're told that and they've got that information in front of them, and sometimes they get it wrong. That shouldn't be the case, but in the vast majority of cases that doesn't happen. There is no major intervention in a lot of cases, but in some cases there is. I'm not in favour of it being a compulsory thing, but it's something that everybody that works around official organisations, be it academic or other official organisations, needs to be aware of and needs to play their part in
Is it
trying
working?
to keep us
It's
all
costing
safe.
something like £60 million. As an ex-police officer, perhaps you could ask this. People might say it's actually failing because 150, just under 150 convicted Islamist terrorists are currently in UK prisons.
There's certainly grounds to review it, review its effectiveness, review whether it needs to be, scrapped and start again. But we need something similar to this in however way we do it. I would like to see the police and the academics working together, the institutions working together, so that the referral, first of all, is the police going to speak with the institution to get a feel for what's going on, maybe explore it with other people within that institution, and then decide how to go forward.
And just finally, Lee, would you understand that people would expect some sort of cooperation in the name of national security, and there seems to be a lack of cooperation and understanding how PREVENT should work from the academic side? Just briefly.
There should be far less cooperation with the PREVENT programme. The National Union of Teachers, the University and College Union have declared themselves against it, as has the National Union of Students.
I find it very sad that we've got academics that are refusing to cooperate with the police trying to keep everybody safe. I find it pathetic, to be honest.